Good day! In this video, we're going to tackle about the classical Christian tradition in approaches to morality. So let us all know what is classical Christian tradition. This philosophical perspective is the one with the longest tradition in the Western world. This statement is frequently made that modern civilization is founded in Greek philosophy, Christian theology, Roman law, and modern science. In our study of moral philosophy, attention must first be given to the extraordinary and brilliant contributions of the Greeks. Moving on to the next slide, Socrates is one of the originators of a moral system. He declared in an apology that the unexamined life is precisely the life not worth living. So in this statement, Socrates attempted to define key terms as the good, the just, and the virtuous. Then an examination of the values involved the living the good life. So his significant value of contribution is his confidence in the mind's ability to attain a degree of moral wisdom in the conduct of life. So in this, he views that a man could and should bring his reason to bear on the conduct of the good life. In that statement, he said that the man should also hope to come up with some standards by which to guide himself on the path of his own fulfillment. So Plato, on the other hand, also made solid contributions to the formation of our moral consciousness. But the Greek masterpiece of moral inquiry is Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, which treats the moral problems in terms of the capacities as well as the potentialities of men to do good. So within this work, Aristotle suggests that happiness is mauna siya ang final end of human aspiration, and it can only be arrived by the use of reason. Although not all Greek civilization could be characterized by strong devotion to reason, the influence of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle was so great that today we think of the Greeks as having been more concerned with the function of reason, the need to order, and the value of philosophical analysis than almost of any other people. Moving on to the next slide, the Greek perspective is also extended and enriched by the philosophy of Saint Thomas Aquinas. He was clearly impressed by the possibility that reason could achieve solid and respectable results in the field of morality. So Aquinas studied in the Greek masters and then carefully documented them in his writings. He also referred to Aristotle as the philosopher and analyzed his ethics in the long and splendid commentary on the Nicomachean Ethics. Aquinas' principles is that the truth is one and whatever is really true in faith and science will never really conflict. He was able to push his own intellectual pursuits to the very limit. Yet Aquinas was no mere echo of the Greek mind. He is informed that Greek mind with a Christian commitment and developed areas in which the Greeks were less explicit. So for example, the need for self-love. Since God loves all men, it is important that it is automatically that we imitate God by what is proper love of ourselves. But divine providence is not operative in Aristotle's moral theory, whereas it is a basic assumption for Aquinas. So moving on to the next topic, we're going to tackle about the 4 ethical issues. These 4 ethical issues are the value, obligation, natural law, and virtue. So value is the first key topic to be discussed in ethics. So it is sometimes defined as the object of human desire and striving. So its technical name for theory of value is axiology. So in the classical Greek, ang atong kinabuhi na naglive according to reason is mao na siya ang value. So ang individual in the society is attained through the techniques of our behavioral sciences. So next is the obligation. So in obligation, kitang tanan, we all experience praise and blame in connection with the actions we perform. So these are the result of our actions, and by that we sometimes get praise or be blamed. So the obligation is the claim made upon us by reason that some things are to be done and deserve praise, whereas others are to be avoided and deserve blame. So it is clearly related to the notions of responsibility and freedom. And it is quoted that we are responsible for the actions when we are ready to account for them to ourselves or to others. So Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher of the Enlightenment, he stated that the experienced fact of duty of responsibility implies that we are free. In his words, I ought, therefore I can. So, obligation's technical name for the part of ethics that deals with obligation is called deontology. So Kant was a deontologist in that he placed the intuition of moral obligations in the very center of his ethics. And the third ethical issues is the natural law. So a natural law theory that states that man himself is capable of setting up a standard of morality based on his own nature. So the questions are all standards of right and wrong conditioned solely by the cultural norms by which one lives. So those who would reply affirmatively are cultural relativists who, like the naturalists, view that the emergence of novel situations as a perpetual condition of an evolutionary universe, and so cannot grant that any standard based on an unchanging human nature can be adequate. Next, moving on to our last topic. Our last ethical issues is virtue. This is the fourth and final key topic in moral theory concerns virtue. So this is the power for moral action that enables man to act with ease and order in some area of his life. So these excellences of good qualities have been given emphasis from classical times to today. The Greeks sought wisdom in philosophy and prudence and justice in politics. So the existentialist stresses courage in the face of responsibility. That's all for my report, and thank you for listening.